Okay. Um, so, welcome first and foremost to the Melanated Council.
Yes.
We've been playing catch up before the show started because life been lifing and the way how this government cycle is stir crazy. And yeah, it's a lot to soak in, but we had to play catch up. So
Mm.
sorry, our bad. We got wrapped up in a sidebar conversation, but we are glad that you guys are here on a lovely Tuesday. I think we were going to say Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday evening.
Tuesday afternoon somewhere.
Yes, thank you,
Yes,
thank you.
that's
It's
my
Tuesday
motto.
afternoon somewhere. So typically we try to go live every other Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and then wherever else you're at in the world, that's when we go live. As always, please make sure you like, share, subscribe, smash the notification bell, join in on the conversation because this one is actually a really good one, to say the least, and very timely, especially with a lot of things that are happening around the world. And so I think it's a really good way to kind of dive into this. Also, before we can go any further, I think I still have it up from last year. Happy Black History Month. Yes, happy Black History Month. Yes. So shout out to all of those black content creators, gamers, streamers, podcasters, artists, whether it's through creative writing, drawing, um, dancing, music, whatever you are gifted and you flow in, shout out to you. And just continue to be great. Continue to be great. Continue to be pioneers of your craft. Continue to just hold it down and teach the younger generation of how to use their creative gifts for good and not for evil. Remember that. So, um, without any further ado, before we jump into the topic, mental health check in. How y'all doing? Like, how's everybody doing tonight? If you guys are tuning in, how are you guys doing? How are you guys holding up? Because we know it hasn't even been like a full month yet, and things are popping off, going crazy. And yeah, just want to check in with everybody, see how everybody's doing, and we'll go from there.
So, um, as I'm sure some of y'all know, I missed last stream because I was in Hawaii. Um, yeah, it was really awesome. And when you said, this Tuesday afternoon, it made me think because Hawaii is 5 hours behind us on the Eastern time. So it's like 4:30 there. And I was just thinking how crazy that is.
Mm,
Because that is a massive difference. Like when I was in Vegas a few months ago, that's 3 hours behind. So it'd be like 6:30 there. As you all know, Rocky's on the West Coast, so his time zone is the same as Vegas. Um, like adjusting back to the time didn't take. The jet lag wasn't too bad when I got home. It took maybe like a day or two to get acclimated, but Hawaii, it took me like a couple of days. It took me, I wouldn't say a full week, but almost. It was hard. And I think it's because we left on a Saturday and then came home Sunday.
mm,
So, yeah, but yeah, no, Hawaii was amazing. Um, it was really cool being out there, hanging out with his family. His parents live out there, um, and seeing sister, his aunt from England. Now her time difference was a lot. I think it's like a 10, 11 hour difference. It was kind of insane. So, I don't know. I don't know how his aunt acclimated to the time change, but hopefully she's doing okay. But yeah, that was my first time going. If any of you ever gone to Hawaii, I'd highly recommend it. It's just beautiful if you've ever been to an island. I was noticing the similarities between Hawaii and Jamaica because of, it's island, water, mountainous as well. But Hawaii is just like it's part of the United States, whether they want, there's of course contention behind that. And still a first world country, from being part of the United States. So the roads are a lot nicer and things just, seem better kept than in Jamaica. And it just made me think like, man, if only money was going into Jamaica, like us Jamaicans could have that. And, if ish starts to pop off here in the US, then if I were to just go and move to Jamaica, it, it wouldn't be as bad. I know I sound kind of spoiled, but if you ever gone to, like I keep saying third world, but apparently developing world, I don't, whatever.
Mm.
I feel like
Yeah.
developing is like kind of insulting because I'm like, it's, I don't know, maybe not, I don't know, whatever. I'm too tired to try to pick words, but yeah, it's just if there was just money, then it would be awesome. But yeah, that's pretty much. Oh, one more thing. I got this new camera. Um, I don't think I shared it in the Discord, but I got the new a DJI Osmo Pocket 3. It's like a really nice, cool camera. I was trying to hook it up to use it as my webcam, but like I couldn't do that. I don't know why something's going on with StreamYard or whatever I plug into StreamYard. Maybe StreamYard hates me specifically. If so, let me know, StreamYard. You know, take off my earrings and put on Vaseline.
Let's go. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Just meet me outside the KFC parking lot. But I brought the Osmo Pocket 3 to Hawaii because one, just like, I don't know, I was like in a purchasing mood. Wasn't sure how the hell these terrorists were gonna affect me, so I was like, all right, let me just buy things that I've just been on the fence about buying. Hey, Rocky.
What's going on, Rocky?
And this will actually tie in very well to our topic for today. Since I was running out of space on my phone, I just kind of also I just didn't want to be on my phone and using my phone a lot. So of course I'd be taking pictures of ocean, sunsets, volcanoes, mountains, terrain, like all the just beautiful things of Hawaii. I didn't really want to just be on my phone and using my phone. So I kind of wanted something that was just separate. And so I got the Osmo Pocket, and it's been doing wonders. Like I've just been learning how to use it kind of on the go because I bought it maybe like 3 days before I flew out to Hawaii. So I just had to use it and just hope that it looked good because I didn't know how the heck it was gonna look. It can go up to 4K, but I've been using it on just 1080p, 60 FPS. Is that the new Google Pixel? No, that was the Pixel 8. I don't have the Pixel 9. I don't know if I really want it because looks like the Pixel 9 is just trying to integrate AI all up in your face. So I don't really want AI in every aspect of my business. I haven't quite looked into it, but how they're advertising, it's like, oh, it's the first Google Pixel with Google Gemini AI integrated. I'm like, that's not a selling point to me. I don't need all that. I don't need AI garbage in every single thing that I do. Like, you need to calm the heck down with that crap. But yeah, so I got the camera as just a way to not be on my phone and not really have access to the internet or to like much, but it's just fun to like take video. It can also take pictures. It takes really good pictures too. And just be recording things and not really having to think about it. Hey, Chad. Woo, how's it going? We're all just here sharing about, just catching up, mental health check-in, seeing how everybody's doing. So yeah, I got mine over and I'm still trying to get used to it. Yeah. Well, for what like Google, I like this has been my first Google Pixel and I really love it, but there are like a couple of things that can be kind of annoying with it. But are you usually on iPhone or is this your first Pixel or your first Android? Yeah, I did. I filmed a lot of great stuff with it. I loved it. I I love it. But yeah, how are y'all doing? Ron, Toby?
You want to go,
Good.
Toe?
Yeah. I mean, overall, yeah, it's been a rocket of a month. It kind of started. I mean, coming off of like some end of year trainings I had to do, and then it was snowed a good amount, and just kind of felt that like inside. I mean, I did go out a little bit a few days after New Year, but kind of felt very honed in and focused. Work stuff has been changing, not even because of this like administration, but just other stuff with my government, like the contract that I'm working on, slating to end on the 15th. There's been some changes with that, so it's just been like very much like watching any news that comes in the company like a hawk, and then also just trying to do what I can on my end to keep myself in a good position career wise. And then I don't know. Outside of that, just living. Socially, things have been decently good. Kind of pick my battles with what I can do. Just trying to make sure that I can, just do what I can without necessarily overexerting myself. And there's a lot of stuff I definitely need to take care of on the personal end. A lot of stuff that's been slipping. Not as they're slipping, but just things that I need to kind of wrap back around and do. I don't know. It's been good. I don't think I have anything crazy like developments per se. Just making sure things are lined up. We're in early February, so yeah, it's been mostly just work stuff that has probably been the most eventful, but that's been like positive. I'm coming up on 1 year on the 12th, so literally like a week. It would be my 1 year anniversary, which is fun. It's weird to think of because a lot of that time was like waiting for the contract to spin up or for me to get onboarded, and then there's like other changes and stuff is dragged sometimes, but good overall. And then I can't really think too much of like, not that I haven't done stuff. Like I'm sure that there are things, but it hasn't been as like, I did this and then I went to this concert. I guess event wise, things will probably pick up in a few months. There's something very, very special. And well, I don't have to talk too much about this stream because we still have a stream in 2 weeks. But between that stream and the next one, some big things will be happening. Big milestone, I should say. And I haven't really planned too much for that milestone. Just living life. Y'all already know what I'm talking about. And yeah, just, I'm blessed to be here, have my family here. Life is definitely life in some ways, not as close to home, like maybe secondary. There's been, thankfully, like everyone in my immediate family were pretty good, but like there's been other family where maybe they weren't as fortunate or other things. So I just kind of a reminder too, to like really appreciate life and every day that we've been here. Do you work for the feds? Well, I guess I work for I work for a private company that does government contracting. But I think like we kind of have our own like they can't really tell us what to do. So that's part of what I have to like keep an eye on. There's going to be like a big all hands, multiple. It's like 3 town halls happening. Probably the same information, but just 2 on Thursday and then 1 Friday morning, where they're going to talk about how the executive orders might be affecting things. But I don't imagine there'd be much effect because they can't really tell us we have to go in the office unless you're someone who works directly with the government client and they want you to actually go on site. Then that's one thing. But my actual site is in Arlington, Virginia. It's not like I'm working directly for the federal government. Therefore, we work in a federal building. So, but since we are, the contracts we're winning are from the CDAO, which is like the federal government's AI and data operations, which is under the DOD. It's under the Undersecretary of Defense. So it's like, okay, I don't know if that means that anyone that gets government contracts has to be, but that doesn't make sense because again, we don't work on like a government site. So I don't think that would matter. The DI stuff, I don't know. I mean, again, we're our own company. They're not going to tell us we have to shut down like our disability, neurodivergence employee resource group or like a Black employee resource group or a woman. Like that stuff I feel like is not touchable. But again, Thursday we'll get some more clarity on how executive orders affect us at all. The only thing that would affect you is if you had a contract that was more based around DEI, which actually could affect some like AI stuff. We already heard this back in November that anything regarding responsible and ethical AI that could get cut out. Though, I mean, there's going to be a push generally for AI and tech stuff, for better or for worse, especially given this 4th branch of government or whatever you want to call this man. Someone said Keen Musk. And it was actually a Republican. I mean, granted, this is Reddit, but I've been like sometimes browsing the Ask Conservatives sub, and not a lot of people are exactly pro Musk and all of his shenanigans. It seems like there's a bunch of people who reluctantly, they didn't say they voted for Trump. Actually, 2 of them said they didn't. They were like center right or conservative based on the Reddit flare. But anyway, it's just interesting to see some of those. But I haven't been keeping as closely with all the news. Like, there's been so much. Like last week, yeah, I saw what was going on. Horrible plane crash. Then another one in Pennsylvania. And then there's like other stuff. But I think when it's come to like what's been happening since the weekend, whatever's going on with the Treasury and whatever's going on with like US aid and like other stuff, I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I haven't had enough time to really read in-depth articles, watch some of the videos that I might watch with like independent media. I really just have kind of fallen off since like a week, and I will catch back up, but I'm just like, do what I can. Excuse me. And that's been working out for me, but I'll make sure that I'm get plugged in and sort of, I don't know, informed enough. But, anything that directly affects me, I'll make sure I get it for my job. Anything else is like, well, we live in a society, I guess.
All right. I guess I will wrap this little lovely session up. What's been going on other than like a bunch of kids getting sick at the same time?
Sorry.
Nope, you're good. Like a bunch of kids getting You're good.
my end. Okay. Oops. Sorry.
Like I was saying before, a lot of kids been getting sick, and it especially within the county, within the school districts, like whatever is going on, it's spreading around all the schools in the area. So I was um I was at choir rehearsal, and I was telling the members like, yeah, like today I had to send home roughly around about like 7, 8 kindergartners because they all messed around and had a fever of 99 and up. And so it was just one of those things where it's like when it rains it pours, and understanding that yeah, it is getting warmer here, but at the same time, because we still live in Michigan and Michigan's weather is so bipolar, not even like 4 Xanaxes can help it. It is what it is. And just trying to at least get through to midwinter break so everybody could kind of like go home, sleep, relax, get rested, and come back again. But it's been nuts. It's been nuts on that note. On a lighter note, um, I do or I did mess around and get like a laptop extender. I shared that in the Discord, and I'm actually kind of using that right now, and it's been working really, really, really nicely, really, really nicely. And so, um, probably like one of the better investments I've received so far. The one thing that I probably will end up having to do is upgrade the the storage and the RAM on my laptop. I mean, if I've had it for like what 4 years now, maybe 5 years. I know I've had it for a while. I've had it for a while, and this thing has been going. This thing has been phenomenal for me. I don't want to say it's gone through the ringer, but it's been doing what it's supposed to do. But at the same time, I know with technology, you got to upgrade it and probably have to take it in the Best Buy to do the upgrades. I'll probably get YouTube videos to see if I can do it myself, just so I can save me a little bit of money. But at the same time, like, well, I don't want to mess anything up, so I'll take it to people who know better, who are trained to do this kind of stuff because I really don't want to buy another laptop. Like I said, I like the one that I have. It's been phenomenal. It's been doing what it's supposed to do. But again, it's just time to upgrade some of the little smaller stuff. But um let's see what else is going on. Like there's a bunch there's like a whole lot of stuff that's going on right now. There's a lot of stuff being planned in the works, and really just trying to navigate all of that. It has been very tricky, but I think by the time I was probably say like between May, June, July-ish, somewhere around there, should have a better idea what's going on, and we'll keep it moving from there. We'll keep it moving. So keep you guys posted, and as much as I can. So we're gonna have fun this year. 2025 is gonna be a fun year, minus all the weird and craziness is going on. But 2025 is gonna be a very good year, very solid year. So
Yeah, no, I agree with a lot of that. Ending sentiment.
mhm.
Yeah.
Some strange things going on, but I'm also very optimistic.
Yeah,
2024 was despite all the craziness as well, was a very good year in a lot of ways. And had definitely had some down moments, but like it was largely in a good bounce back from 2023, which was less of a great year. And so just kind of build on momentum and hope things go well. Rooting for you, rooting for everyone, honestly. But obviously, since you just went, excuse me, rooting for you, Ron.
Same,
Mm-hmm.
same.
Yeah, same.
It, yeah, gotta wait. Gotta wait. Oh, gotta wait. Gotta wait for that one. Gotta wait for that one. But anyways, um, now you wanna go and introduce our little topic for tonight?
Yeah. Um. So the other day I saw a right. No, true. So the other day I saw a video of this young boy. I think he's like 13. I want to say middle school age. And he decided to stop using his cell phone, his smartphone. I think it was just getting very, very distracting. And he opted into getting a dumb phone, like a old school flip phone type of thing that doesn't really have any of the operating system features that we've grown so accustomed to, like touchscreen and just being able to talk into our phone to and give us answers. um, so he noticed that he's become a lot more engaged and personable and, and things of that nature. News got a got a wind of this and they interviewed him and then they tried to do the experiment with a couple of his friends. I think it was 2 boys, 2 girls, and they were all given dumb phones. The one of the boys though couldn't last 24 hours. I think they were supposed to last a week or maybe 2 weeks or something like that. One of the boys couldn't last 24 hours. He asked for it right back. other the other kids lasted, and the results from that little experiment was just pretty interesting. They all found it very hard to not use their phone, of course. Although they all got a bit better at school, when it came to focusing and learning and paying attention. One of the boys didn't like the other boy, like started talking and conversing with his parents more. um I guess before he would just be in his room, like, just on his phone, but he would he would have to find something to do, so he would just go and talk to his parents. Um, I can't remember how the girls went. The girls went, pretty well, more so than the boys, but overall, everyone except the boy who couldn't last 24 hours did very well. And there's been studies and teachers notice how certain students are if they're constantly, if they don't quite have a phone, they pay attention more or they look up more and look at other things rather than just constantly looking down, looking at their phone, walking around. Um, so I thought this was just very interesting because I feel like all of us are around the same age. A lot of us who watch our stream are late 20s to 30s, sometimes 40s and 50s, but usually no like teenagers, like nobody in college, I'd say is on would be on our stream, or has ever really like commented to my knowledge. Maybe. I don't know. But I don't think we know the implications of how that's affecting young folks. Maybe Ron, when he gets back, how how his son is, because I know his oldest son, I believe, is like 18, or 17 or something like that. So Maybe Ron could speak on it a little bit more. Also, Ron's a teacher, or was a teacher. Now he's I want to say like superintendent, um, faculty in the school, but still interacts and sees children. So I know that he would have um, a good insight on that. But Toby, um, what are your thoughts? What have you noticed as the youngest person on the stream?
Yikes. Called out. I was gonna actually say it too with Ron, and since he's a coach, I know that's another interesting
True. Yeah.
atmosphere. Granted, there's like you're a bit more hands-on with the activities, but you can kind of probably gauge activities like study hall or just even like afterwards, right? Seeing people on their phone. But for me, it's interesting because my demographic, like I feel like the people I've hung out with largely also have been my age or older. Like probably some people have been younger than me. I guess when I lived in Boston, there were some people who honestly I thought they were older. Like some of them were like literally 20 or even 19, or like I met them when they were probably around 20, and I was like, oh my goodness, y'all are babies. And I think I would see them in socialist settings though, in a kind of a tight knit community ish, like a lot of immigrants, kids of immigrants, and when I would go to these kind of like after hours or wherever the hangout spot was, a lot of them were like, I don't know, like it was active enough where I don't know if they were quite on their phone. It's actually very interesting to think about the social settings that I've been in, because if I'm going to a place where I see people, I mean, mostly we're going to be interacting. It doesn't always have to be like a party, but it might be a mixer. People are talking. I'm sure people are on their phone to some degree. If anything, maybe they're using like they're taking like an Instagram video story or just something to like post later. I mean, I can speak for myself too on that. So I could be on my phone. Also, there's like group chats. So if I'm in a group, like if I'm meeting up in an event that's group chat centric, people might be in the group posting things. And so it's kind of like one of those, you might still be kind of present with what you're doing, but then there's like a proxy. There's like some other communication that you're having that is still social, even though you're on your phone. I mean, yeah, you could definitely be at like a party or something where people could be like just on their phone scrolling through Instagram. Though sometimes those are just times where people are waiting for someone to talk to them. But I don't know. That's like when I'm around other people, very much we're engaged. I guess the home thing is interesting because like kind of how like some of those kids were talking to the parents more. Like I do notice that, yeah, if I'm home for like holidays or other times, people are largely kind of doing their own thing. My sisters might be like, I think they use their computers more. Like I really am not a big laptop. Like I only pull my laptop literally once every 2 weeks for the stream. There was a time where I was much more active on my computer. I would do a lot more. Maybe it was because I was also like, I didn't really have a TV, so I might actually be watching shows on here. Now, if I do want to actually watch something, I just use, it's not fancy TV at all, but it works, and I have a Fire Stick, so I can go ahead and watch. Which is actually funny that it's like that. Really, it's not a smart TV in the slightest. Even though elsewhere my technology is a bit more. So, but I pretty much do most things on my phone. So it's also weird because like I communicate, not just communicate, but I interact with the outside world entirely through my phone. Like it's not even like, oh, I can segment my phone away from my computer or like a tablet. I technically have an iPad, but I don't use that thing for real. I just kind of got some discount 2 Black Fridays ago, 2023. So it's kind of interesting when I think about it because I really do use my phone for everything, YouTube, watching really whatever. Whether it's Reddit, if I do any information gathering or looking up stuff, phone. And then if I go to social events, even if I'm planning to go to a social event, like I mentioned, there's GroupMe or there's WhatsApp. There's different groups where people are going to meet up. Phone. I guess once you're in the event, people don't have to use their phone as much. And then I don't know. I mean, it is an interesting concept. Like, how much do you use your phone? Like, if I didn't have a phone to use for a week, how would I like do stuff? And it's interesting because, okay, if you're at school, you should be focused on school. Like, I didn't even have a cell phone until my sophomore year, maybe April. it was kind of random too. And my parents just kind of like, because I was supposed to be actually volunteering at an event, but then like, and I was trying to get a ride, but then my parents just kind of took me elsewhere. I don't think I gave them that much. I told them about the event, but I kind of reminded them the day of, and then I don't know, I got some kind of dismissive response, and then we went to a phone store and I picked out a phone, and it wasn't even a smartphone, but it was better than a flip phone. It was like the Samsung Intensity, had like the flip up keypad, so I could type horizontally instead of the crazy like press a button multiple times to type a letter, a nightmare of a of a device. So I saw my brother and other people with those, but I was like, yeah, I did not want to use those phones. But the unfortunate thing was there wasn't that great protection for the screen because you didn't have a flip. You could protect the keyboard since it slid up, but you couldn't really protect the screen. But it was sturdy, and so I got my first phone in high school. Then I got my first social media, Facebook, like Christmas of my junior year. Even email, I didn't really get till my sophomore year. So either way, I was kind of late with a lot of stuff. Started getting other social media when I was in college, mostly just because there were other pages that I would hear about, like college-related pages, like those confession pages, or maybe pages where people would promote things. So I got Twitter early on in college, then Instagram like my junior year. So I kind of was able to survive without a phone for a while. Hey, Mish with the banger.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they really don't know. They don't know about any of this. So I've survived, but school's a little different because, like, okay, when you're in school, I mean, school was very strict. You couldn't text, you couldn't do any of this stuff. Now it's like you have rules where you're allowed to use your phone, but sometimes you just can't walk with it. Like, I've seen things where you can have one earbud in, but not two. This was like when I was in college age, like I don't remember what year, but it had to be in the 2014 onwards, maybe even close to 2018. And I was like, what kind of rules are these? We were not allowed to have our phone on. Technically, we weren't supposed to have a phone, but if you had one, you're supposed to have it off. And so technically, if your phone was off, but someone sees it, they could confiscate it. If your phone was on, but in your pocket and it went off, someone could confiscate it. People were very lenient, though. Teachers, especially if you weren't a troublemaker, no one's going to really dock you for it. But it's one of those things where you're not supposed to have it. Now it's like kids, whatever. So the idea that kids like would focus less because of their phones is such a foreign thing for me, because I'm like, I wasn't using my phone freaking in school. Are you kidding me? Now college, it's like, okay, I did have a phone, but it wasn't the best smartphone. I got better phones throughout college, but I don't know, like, I wasn't distracted by my phone, which is funny because I think by the time I got to grad school, my attention span was like shot, and it was much harder to focus. I think some classes were more engaging, some were less. And those ones, it was like, yeah, crap. And there were some classes in college that, yeah, I wasn't the most engaged, but I wasn't like just on my phone, just, let me just watch a bunch of Instagram reels. Well, that didn't exist back then, but I feel like I was pretty good at segmenting my time, and I actually spent more time probably on my email app. Like, that's another thing, is communication. My Gmail app was like definitely a top spot in my in my app list. And I was on Facebook a good amount. Now I just use Facebook to post if I, doing Duolingo or something. So it's like, it's interesting. I don't know. Like, it was kind of wide ranging, but I'm thinking, like, I don't necessarily see people much younger than me. Like, I don't have interactions with actual really kids. Like, I guess, like, when I go to certain conferences, there are some like younger kids, but I usually gravitate towards people my age anyway. And again, the environment just lends itself to people and actually interacting more. Like, yeah, people are probably using their phone because of GroupMe or whatever group that we're getting updates from. Or if there's an app, like there's those guide apps that often a lot of conventions will use. They'll either have their own that kind of uses the same layout, or they'll just use one app like Hoover or something. And so people will use their phones for that and just to check in overall. But generally, people are pretty like tapped in and tuned in to like whatever is happening. It's just a different world, honestly. Like, it's not like I said, I do everything on my phone, so I'm not pretending that I'm like somehow above people who are glued to it. But like, I think I've been able to separate things a lot more. Like, I don't have any social media on my main phone. Like I say on my my username, I have two phones, and so I mean, we got the two phone lifestyle going on here. But my main phone doesn't have any social media except I think Facebook, YouTube. Okay, YouTube's probably the bad one, and I have been trying to limit that more. And Reddit actually, because I have used Reddit a lot more. But in terms of like real social media, like Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, I only have that on my second phone, and so I can kind of separate it a lot more, a lot easier. Um, um, but in any case, kids will be kids, and it's an interesting idea. I'll pass the mic over. I think Elle, you were asking about the two of us, and Ron, I'm sure you have a lot of things to say since you work. Yes, yes, the force is very strong. Got my dual sabers. Also can work for a Western in terms of pistols. So
True.
or even just regular swords. I kind of skipped over that one. So I know there was like the idea of a light phone, which is like a very slow phone, and it looks more like you're reading the book, so it doesn't really have like the harsh light.
Like a Kindle type of like e-reader type
Yeah,
of.
basically like the
Yeah.
e-reader phone. And some school, maybe in Massachusetts or some boarding school, they kind of like did an experiment where like and I think they did opt in. Or I don't think it was a punishment per se, but it was an idea, and the kids ended up, generally having better interactions with each other, and their scores went up. And so that was an interesting experiment to use the light phone for them. And I think the light phone was trying to partner with other schools to give free phones just to see like what that would be like. So I'm glad you talked about this, Al, and I'm kind of curious to see, like you mentioned, there's other people who I think want to do this experiment. Like whoever ran it, I think wants to reach out to other schools or whatever. So I think it's definitely interesting. That's one domain though, in terms of school. There's a lot of other places where could you, as a young professional, as a business person, kind of sacrifice it. I guess everything is possible. We were able to do things before smartphones.
Right. Yeah.
But I guess it's also because so many things have been appified. So I mean, if you're doing certain things, you might be relying on like certain push notifications. I mean, again, you might not have to. I'm sure there's ways that you can segment it out because there are still, ways of checking stuff. But even my bank, like I don't think I've ever used my computer to do like a bank transaction in like how many years. Like I'll check my desktop app because sometimes the desktop websites are more thorough, like PNC, Bank of America. If you want to check certain reward stuff, you're going to have to go to the website if you want to see the breakdown of what percent gives you this cash back. But if you wanted to do anything functional, like redeem your rewards, pay your bills, literally everything I do completely is on my phone. Zelle, Cash App, if I need to pay for something at an event, Venmo for paying certain monthly bills. It's literally it's just I do so much functional stuff on my phone. So it's not just that I'm wasting time. It's just that I operate primarily from my phone. And it is actually very, very interesting how because I used to be a very big computer user, obviously in college, grad school, and even just doing certain errands. It made more sense to sit down, get my email, type stuff out. But now I'm like, there's some things where not really, like, unless I have to sign a PDF, which I did have to do some weeks ago. That was like one errand I was knocking out. But generally, I'm like, I can do everything. I can upload documents, even like my receipts for my job. Like we can get reimbursed for parking. Now that, of course, I'm using my work computer to do those expense reports, but taking the pictures of the receipts, I've always done with one of my two phones, and I'll use the OneDrive app, which I have my work account on, to like put it in the correct folder. So everything I organize, I do with the mobile device, which makes sense in that case because I have to take a picture. But technically, I could have sent them as emails to myself, which didn't have done that on my computer. But it made more sense to do a lot of the organizing, uploading.
I'm surprised you said like email it to yourself. I was thinking you could have faxed it to yourself, or not necessarily faxed it, but like take like I forgot what the term is.
The scanner.
Thank you. I was thinking. I don't know. I kept thinking like screen. I was like, no, it's not. Yeah, scan it to your email. Of course, like I get it. I when I have to put in receipts. What's next? Oh, telegraph. You know, maybe, Chad.
What was the Fire Nation reference? Prince Zuko, or
I guess.
I think that one might have gone over my head. But I do agree generally that like scanning was huge. I actually did do a lot of that when I was unemployed, and I had certain documents I needed to like preserve that were like mailed to me, like whether it was the termination letter, which was kind of terrible, but I was like, I need to kind of save this and make sure that I send this for when I was claiming my unemployment
For sure, yeah.
for Massachusetts. And Massachusetts had a pretty decent portal. Like you could do a lot of stuff. I used my computer mostly. I did use my phone, but I preferred the computer for that one. When I was doing job applications, that made more sense. Some things were simple enough to do on my phone, but a lot of it was like, yeah, I'm gonna hunker down and really like
do it on your computer. Yeah.
Computer. So difference that was kind of like a job. So it made sense that I was using my computer. Same thing with doing interviews and like anything like that, unless it was a phone interview. But Zoom, Teams, Versure was on my computer. But yeah, a lot to think about. So
yeah, for sure. Ron, you being, you have been a teacher, a coach, you work in school. So you see a lot of young kids. Do they have cell phones? And I don't know if you work with students who like some of them have cell phones, some of them don't, and if you could notice the difference between the two.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. A lot of times, a lot of the kids, they have their cell phones as a way of communicating to their parents, especially if it's for like an emergency case. I know a lot of times the tablets are more so of the big thing now versus anything else. And so it's one of those things where it keeps them busy, out of trouble, but at the same time, it can get very distracting depending upon what they're doing. I know at one point in time, my youngest, he would bring his tablet just so he kind of play with my boss's kids, and her kids are roughly around about the same age as my youngest, so it makes sense. I can get it. And so he, what was he doing? I think he was playing around with it during class. And so I told him, like, dude, if you have this tablet, you are not allowed to have it in class. I don't care what anybody else is doing. I don't care what's going on. No, that is a luxury. That's a right that you even remotely have it to bring to school in the first place. Like, you got to understand, once you're in school, you're here to learn. That's it. Sure, you can socialize, you make friends, laugh, joke, tee hee, ha ha. I get it. But anything outside of that realm, outside of that scope, nah, you gotta let that go. So he did it again. They took it away from him for about like a month. No, 2 months. Took it away from him for 2 months. I was like, did you learn your lesson? Yeah. So what are you gonna do the next time? Well, rather than bring my tablet to school, I'm leaving it at home. Wise choice. Very wise choice. But a lot of the other kids, I can't necessarily talk to them like that because their parents use cell phones as a means of communication. But I'm like, well, if that's the only thing you want to do, you might as well get them a flip phone or give them something that's so basic where they don't necessarily have to rely on like using mobile data or using anything that would be a distraction to them. Because I remember when, I think it was in middle school, high school. That's when I got my first cell phone. It was the Nokia, what was it, 3995. First cell phone, the brick phone. And was able to do bowling, to play the bowling game, play the snake game, but it's more so for the bowling. And we used me and my brother had me. I had one. My brother had one, and really we just used it to. Yeah, yeah. Don't get
Yeah,
me started
that.
on that one.
Yeah.
Don't get me started on that. Yeah, Nokia 3039. No, was it 3595 or 3995? One of them two models, but either was it was the brick phone, the old Nokia brick phone, and it was also around about the same time where like we were able to use those phones to kind of surf the internet, but it only allowed you to do like certain things within the the actual phone itself. So it kind of gave you the sense that you're on the internet, but you necessarily weren't. And so we downloaded ringtones and downloaded games. It really just kind of like personalized it to our own liking. But other than that, that was really it. It wasn't until I think it might have been a sophomore or junior in high school. That's when like the cell phone kind of evolved. And so me and my brother, we had, I think, no, sophomore. I was a sophomore. Me and my brother, we shared a phone. When we became a junior, that's when we had the um, the Nextel slash Boost mobile phones. If you remember the Blue Bloops or the let's see, what was it? The i730s, the i860s, like way back when you used to be able to chirp people and use it like a walkie-talkie, so like an actual cell phone. And so those ones, we had those for like forever, forever. But again, it was more so for like communication based, trying to see where everybody is at, and not necessarily going onto the web. Say all of that to say, a lot of times, like I said before, a lot of times for the kids at school, they have smartphones. And I'm like, no. Mm-mm. Like, don't get me wrong. My two older kids, they've had their cell phones, like their first cell phones, of course, granted, were smartphones, but they got them when they were like in fifth grade because they showed the maturity to be able to handle it. My youngest, on the other hand, probably gonna wait until he's like sixth, seventh grade before he actually gets his first cell phone because he's not that responsible, even though yes, he can be. For the most part, he's not. Some days he does act mature. Some other days, nah, not yet.
Mm.
But these kids, and even then, like on the elementary level, these kids they know way too much, way too early. I'm like, you're only a kid. Like, what do you know about this? Like, how do you have access to this? Why are you even watching this in the first place? And I just scratch my head. I'm like, nah, nah. Now, I think you had mentioned if like about like their grades or their study habits, if them having a cell phone kind of impacted that.
Yeah, or like social
Yeah, or like
skills.
social skills.
For the most part, I would say yes and no. And the reason I would say no is because a lot of the kids that are like my daughter's age to my youngest son's age, they were part of that small collective of students who were impacted by COVID the most, that disrupted their communication skills with their peers. Yes. that has hindered a lot, and it shows, especially in my youngest son's kind of like age group. You kind of see that more prevalent than in my daughter's age group. My oldest son, not as much. And and again, I say that because he was used to going outside, hanging out with his friends, not necessarily be cooped up on the inside of the house. He was always going doing something, but he was still close by that if we called for him, he was right there. And so when COVID hit, he wasn't necessarily impacted by it, but you could still kind of see how some of his classmates and some of his peers that kind of fell through the cracks. But other than that, um, other than that, like I said, my daughter's age group and her classmates, definitely, definitely, yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. There's been times where like I have to sit down with all three of my kids individually and be like, hey, this is what I see what you're doing. I need you to correct it because if you don't, you're going to be dealing with some major consequences and you probably won't like them. I know my oldest, he's finally getting that. I'm like, yes, took you long enough, but you got it. So I'm good with him. The daughter, for the most part, she gets it. The youngest kid, on the other hand, y'all pray for that young boy. That man going through the ringer. That man is going through the ringer. Yes, yes, and again, because of the fact all three of them are in different stages in their lives, I have to treat them as such and deal with them at those levels. And again, they're all doing good in school, and as far as them communicating with their peers, they do an okay job. Yes, yes. And I told my son this. I told my oldest son this. Like, whenever you're about to make a decision, to think about the consequences that you are going to have to deal with because of your decisions, whether the consequence is good or the consequence is bad, you're going to have to deal with it. So before you make that decision, I'm gonna need you to think about it very, very hard and understand that those consequences, because of your decisions, they can impact your future and for your whole lifetime. So, if you want to have a successful future, you want to start thinking about things that helps your future self. Shout out to Elle, she's the one who said that one. So, yes. and and to think about what do you want to do for your future self and how your current self can help you to get to help you to get to your future self. Long day, crazy day. And so slowly but surely, my oldest, he's been getting that. He's like, Dad, I get it. He's like, I understand what you mean now. He's like, you know sorry it took so long. Like, dude, like that's part of life. You got to grow up. You have to grow up into your own man at your own pace, at your own time. But understand that because I am your dad and I see things differently, and when I see you do things that go down the wrong path, I'm there. I'm here to correct you, not necessarily to lead you astray because I don't want that, but I want you to be aware and understand that, dude, you have a very bright future if you just listen and make better decisions. That's it. Sure enough, the moment he got that click, it's been happening. So,
Mm.
I really do believe that those COVID years had a huge impact on a lot of the development of kids. I also do believe that with COVID, and especially with the parents who either lost their jobs because of COVID and whatnot, and had to like go through the teaching, their their have to go through teaching their kids science, math, social studies, English, you name it, because of the result of COVID. Like, yeah, it pretty much brought a lot of things to light. You know, I know when my daughter, when I'll say this and I will move on. I know when my daughter, when she graduated fifth grade, going into the sixth grade, um, the principal at that time, she was like very worried because it was that group that didn't necessarily do so hot with the online learning, and from them transitioning from online learning to being back in the classroom, it was very, very scary. And it was one of those times where it's like, we don't know if these kids are going to make it or if these kids are going to have to repeat a grade. And so when she graduated, the principal at the time, she said, I just want you guys, she said, parents, I just want you guys to understand this much. She's like, you're looking at a solid group of fifth graders who, during the same time, 2 years ago, they were looking at computer screens learning. And she
Mhm.
said, I'm here to let you guys know that according to the data we got from the state of Michigan, all of these kids are able to move on to the next grade. And her saying that, a lot of the kids they didn't think about it as much, but a lot of parents started crying, started tearing up, but like, we get it, because that was rough. That was rough. Them years was rough. And to hear that all of them are at grade level, but my daughter, she's always been, especially when it came to ELA, she was always above grade level, if not 2 grades above her current level. She's always excelled. Math was always her struggle suit, but even still, like, she always excelled. And so to hear that, I'm like, okay, she's good. Now you look at her, she's on the honor roll consistently. She is taking ninth grade honors ELA. So she's taking a high school class while she's still in middle school. And she's thinking about taking a honors, I want to say, an honors science class on top of an honors ELA. And she was like, well, she's like, well, do I want to do like honors math? I'm like, I'm like, go for it. Why not? What's the worst you could do? Not do anything, and kind of, bump your head a little bit, sure, but you would never know till you try. Oh, dude, I could talk about, man, Rocky. Kick back. Matter of fact, Rocky, go ahead and take get a notepad, get a pen, some highlighters, and you can go take some notes. Okay, so like, we've always had this thing where education is important. Education is key, because as long as you get your diploma, your degree, can't nobody tell you nothing. Okay. And so, because of the fact we came from two different spectrums, we took turns as far as leading and guiding, and it worked well. And so, there are some aspects where she's like, hey, I'm gonna need you to go talk to your son because he acted like a fool, he acted like a knucklehead. All right, cool, great, I got you. And there's times like, hey, you need to go talk to your daughter. You need to go talk to your daughter. I'm gonna leave it at that. Go talk to your daughter. And so, on that aspect, it's worked. but it took some years to get to that level where it did work. And so now we are at the point where, like with our oldest, he's about to graduate this May, right? He's a senior this year. And so I told her, like, listen, you got to understand that this is a point in time where, mom, you've done all that you can. As dad, it's time for me to take over the reins. You've done well. You've been nurturing. You've been loving, but I'm gonna have to give him that harsh reality of the real world, especially because he is a young black man. I have to give him that. I have to give him that aspect because I don't want him just to be okay for settling and okay being at the status quo. Like, nah, like you're way too smart, way too talented, way too gifted to just stay here. Go. Like, if you talk about you want to be an entrepreneur, be that entrepreneur. If you want to get your degree in the arts, get it in the arts. If you want to travel the world, do that. Be your own boss, do that. You have every right, every opportunity to do so. However, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you how you should go about it. I'm going to ask you those tough questions to make you think about it a little bit more to see if this is really what you want to do. And if so, cool. I got you. We'll make it work. We'll make it work. And like I told her, like when your daughter gets to this age, you're going to have those hard conversations and those hard topics and everything else because she won't get it from me because I'm not a woman. She's going to get it from you because you are. It is what it is. And like I said, for the most part, it's worked. It's been working. It's been working. And even now, like with our youngest, you know, again, young man, a lot of time she comes in, she does the mom talks, and nope, you finna get blocked. You finna get blocked. Absolutely not.
So because I have a pretty cool like username.
Yeah, right portion. Absolutely not. Matter of fact, I'm at the report spam. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's just like straight up bot. Straight up. Not even like attempting to troll and engage like some weeks ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Posted. So. If I could spell. Because I know Twitch, they kind of did some stuff when it came to reporting and whatnot. Boom. Yeah, we finna get you out of here. Right portion. We finna get you out of here. We ain't got time for that. This is 2025. Not at all. Not at all. But no, yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. But and again, just kind of like to pivot back to the original topic. Honestly, I would suggest if kids do need to get a cell phone, if kids really do need to get a cell phone, I'd say start them off with a flip phone, basic flip phone. You know, if they could bring back like the old school Motorola Razr, absolutely. Absolutely. Or
I
any
think they
flip
kind
phone.
of have in a way.
I mean, yeah, they do, but it's a remix of a classic. I'll say it like that. Even though the newer one, I like it. It's able to fold up in your pocket and everything else. That's cool. But the one that I'm thinking about is the one that my brother had, which was very nice, very nice, very sleek, stylish, small, compact. Had a nice screen, like Toby was saying earlier. You know, he kind of dropped it a few times. The screen started to crack here and there, but for the most part, it was still a very good phone. In my opinion, when the first Razor came out, it was way ahead of its time. But again, it was a solid phone, a solid phone,
Mm-hmm.
solid phone. And I think for parents who want their child to have something for communication basis, yeah, the old school Motorola Razor or something similar probably would be best.
No,
Yeah.
I agree.
Agree.
I don't really see a reason why kids need a smartphone. Like, I'm trying to think of, like a decent age. Like, I think when they start high school, sure. Um, but other than that, they just need to text and call people. I've honestly, to my knowledge, have never texted a phone from like I never texted a phone to and from a flip phone, like a dumb phone. So I don't know what that text thread looks like on my smartphone, for example. I don't know if I can react to it. I don't know, like, to a message. I don't know if they can react to mine. Because I know that some of them, I think, run on a type of Android. I could be wrong. It could be a totally different OS, like a totally different operating system that just programs dumb phones. I remember a few years ago I was at T-Mobile and I was looking at the old, like the flip phones. This was, I think it was, you know, in the 2020s, maybe 2019 at the latest. And one of the flip phones could play YouTube. It was like an inch by an inch screen, but you could play YouTube, which I thought was pretty interesting. So it's not a totally SOL device. It's not the best experience, but you can be connected to an extent and still have a dumb flip phone. It's just going to not be, you know, it's sort of designed to not be engaging. You know, it's not going to allure you and keep you on the program, keep you on the app. It's gonna be very annoying and just want to take you off. However, and I must add in this anecdote. A couple weeks ago, I deleted my Instagram app and my TikTok app because with the Osmo Pocket, I needed to download an app, and the app was damn near a gigabyte. It was a massive sized app. To this day, I still don't know why it is that huge, but whatever. I wouldn't have been able to use the device without it, as stupid as that sounds. So I deleted Instagram and TikTok because they were my two biggest apps. I use Instagram on my browser. I don't use TikTok at all. I never bother trying to figure out the browser way and signing in on all that. And I don't really need it that much. If you ever use the browser version of any any meta app like Instagram and Facebook, the browser experience, whether it's on your phone or if it's on your laptop, your desktop, it's not great. It's very limiting. It's even limiting in ways that I didn't expect it to be. Yeah, no, same here, Rocky. um it's very limiting in ways I didn't expect it to be. For example, if you're posting a story on Instagram, there's a way to put like little fun gifs in the story or other things. I wasn't able to do that on the browser version. I can only put a happy birthday gif, which is not the worst thing, but it was weird how I couldn't search for any other gifs or anything. I could only use the happy birthday gif. I can't post stories on Instagram from like other posts. I can only direct message them to other people in the groups. So that was also annoying because I would always post a lot of stories on Instagram and, got a lot of engagement. People liked it. If I post a picture on Instagram, it doesn't seem like people really interact with pictures on Instagram much anymore because I don't blame them because you can't really see anybody you're following's content. You have to like scroll for several years to find something, which is, sad and annoying, but this is where we're at. Just yesterday I started putting screen time limiting parameters on certain things. And the cool thing about my phone is that it can even be for certain websites. So for Reddit, I can only be on Reddit for like 30 minutes a day. Yep. For um like Blue Sky, I can only be on it for 30 minutes a day. For another website I can't remember, I can only be on it for 30 minutes a day. Oh, Reddit, Instagram, Blue Sky, I can only be on it for 30 minutes a day because the whole reason for not having these apps is to limit myself anyway, but it's crazy just how fast the time goes. TikTok, I don't have the app or even or not or on it. I don't have it on my browser either, so I can't access it. I don't really want to bother trying to figure out signing in to TikTok, but TikTok is a massive time suck. It is a massive time suck. I've never actually looked at how much time I spent on TikTok. I never really looked at how much time I spent on apps, but I guarantee you when I had TikTok, it was bad. And also TikTok is kind of becoming problematic. How they were like, "Oh, we're down. Oh, we're back up thanks to President Trump, even though he's not even president because it's the 19th of January. Oh, let's have this massive party that just came out of nowhere of all the, big influencers who somehow all was able, not all of them, but certain ones were able to make it to a particular party, massive party function in time for the inauguration because TikTok was such a surprise that it, went away. Like we didn't know it was gonna go away, but we just have this party just locked up in our back pocket that we're able to unleash. Yeah, sure. I mean, I was born at night, but I wasn't born last night. Um, yeah. What was I gonna say? But just not having the apps on my phone is really nice because I don't get the constant notifications. Instagram notifications were driving me crazy. Um, it was massively annoying. Um, I'm trying to think of like what else. Like a lot of even notifications that weren't social media. It could be like my bank or something, or just a text message. You would go back into your phone to look at it, and then it's just constantly bugging you, and it just drives me crazy. Yeah, I've actually halved my space on my phone. Like my last phone had 256 gigabytes, and then this phone has 128. I made the stupid mistake of transferring all of my photos from my last phone to this phone. Should not have done that. So that just ate up my space. So I don't really have space on my phone anymore. Thinking about just I don't know, using like an external hard drive and just getting everything off of it so I can have some space. Because it is not fun if I'm trying to like update an app and it's not. So yeah. Um um trying to remember what I was gonna say. Yeah, so like I mentioned earlier, one of the things I do love about the Osmo Pocket 3 is that it's just not my phone. Like how Toby was mentioning with his iPad and his second phone, and sometimes just having something else to use that isn't your phone or isn't your main phone is just very nice. Sad as this may sound, just very old school. Just having a toy, having um because I've noticed a difference between when I have a bunch of apps on my phone that I'm constantly looking at versus when I don't. Like I notice a difference in myself. I notice a difference of how I pay attention to people. I notice a difference between my mind because my mind isn't as spiraling active and engaged, or just engaged and just all over the place like ping pong, when I'm constantly using apps and then I'm going to like go talk to somebody. I'm not getting things done late as much. I I'm not the best at focusing, but I do focus a little bit better when I can't really use my phone to just goof off. I'm not gonna try to like limit YouTube because I just use it to like listen to stuff. I'm not like on YouTube like this. It's usually just kind of something that I have listening just so I can just do work at work or listen to music or some kind of podcast or something. Um, oh yeah, we haven't really talked and gotten much into podcasts actually, and YouTube and how that could be kind of detrimental to kids. Um, Something that really concerns and bothers me is, like I was foolishly under the belief that certain videos online were targeted to me, or not necessarily to me, but to my age group. Like the type of BS videos that you say, like that you'd see, like conservative beats blue haired liberal, an argument using facts and logic. like that kind of garbage. I didn't really like. I was like sort of in a way thinking that it was not necessarily targeted to me, or it never really showed up on like my YouTube feed, but I would see it occasionally, maybe like on Twitter or something. Like wondering like who the heck is like these videos have the weirdest names and like who the heck is like watching these videos. And then a couple of months ago I saw this guy, must have been about 19, 20, um saying that when he was like 14, 15, he would watch those kinds of videos and he was like really into that kind of stuff, and he didn't start questioning his beliefs because like he grew up in like a very like white conservative town, so everybody looked like him, thought like him. Sounds like yeah, true. um and I hear Destiny is under fire for something he's doing, so is becoming problematic. I haven't really quite looked into that. um you gonna say something, Toby?
I was just gonna say this man's always been under fire. Like I only started hearing of him in the recent years, and I guess he
Mm,
would be doing debates with people, or he would be on different panels. Some of them are interesting, but like I kind of see him referenced in other videos where like there's been something strange. I don't know if it's like something dealing with underage, something or other, or possible
yeah,
like
that's
I don't even know. I've just heard some odd things, and some other channels that I can't remember have brought him up, or they bring up other people like Vash. I don't know. There's a whole ecosystem, and they're not all the same at all. There's different people in the internet, sort of liberal left space, and some of them focus on different things. But it's just yeah, when sometimes people just have strange interests, or they do strange things, or they'll defend strange things. And it's like, yeah, that has to be separate from whatever. Like, let this be a representation of, let's say, his liberal beliefs. Like, whatever strangeness he got going on is kind of on his own. Make him dumb, yeah. So I'll have to look more
mm,
into it because it just. But anyway, you continue, Al. I just, it's just,
yeah.
yeah. I don't
No, I hear you. Yeah, like I would occasionally see those titles of videos sporadically online. Didn't really know who the heck this was for. Just seemed like it was just rightfully, clickbait, engage bait sort of things. You watch it, it's just dumb. It's just stupid. it's not. It's not as big of an own or even truthful or correct. It's just one person's like louder than the other type of thing. And it's like, what the heck is this for? Like, what the crap? But there was a lot of young kids who believe that, like, who are like in as young as elementary, middle school, high school. And it's pretty sad because they're not really learning anything, or they're not learning the correct things. They're not learning how to communicate. They're just, I don't know, into the rage bait, just the anger bait. I don't know. But I do think that like stuff like that is highly problematic. Like that's like bad for us. Another thing that I don't think gets really talked about, because I know that we're we have political roots in our stream, so we tend to get political. I don't really think like I don't feel like one thing that is interesting is the whole like not like spiritual, because I don't really want to say religious, 'cause it's not really religious, but it could be like spiritual or I guess the term is like woo woo, um of just like stuff and content out there and things like that. Not saying like it's bad to believe in that or it's good to believe in that or anything. It's just like it's just kind of um Oh, this is where I want to go. It's kind of the I think the term is parasocial relationship. Essentially influencers. It's people who claim that they have the answers for you, or they may be talking about something or a type of person. Like one of the big ones is like narcissist. My therapist loves to talk to me about how everybody keeps calling everyone a narcissist when that's not even true. Um, the one person who is really a narcissist is Donald Trump. And like he and I have like spoken about that. And he's like, yeah, yeah, he is a textbook narcissist. Like, yeah, he's a narcissist. And it's just funny because you don't really hear that. You hear it occasionally, but most of the time when you hear about like narcissists, it's just like people who are go-getters or people who are like manipulators or a different kind of abuser. It's like but it's not really a narcissist. So you hear a lot of terms of people using you hear a lot of like people using terms that are like pseudo therapist, like faux therapy, like I'm here to help you type of things. Like come join my group of women as we talk and navigate about your your relationship with this type of person. It only costs like $500, or like send me $50, I'll talk to you personally, kind of thing. Kind of like the whole it's like Miss Cleo-ish, where people get really, but it's a closer thing. All right, good night, Chad. Like it's a closer bond or relationship because like just like here, how y'all are commenting and interacting with us, and you're asking questions, we're responding. um so I'm not gonna sit here and give you fake information and say like only I can help you, send us $50. Like, like I I couldn't do that in good conscience. Like, I couldn't even do it in bad conscience. I'll be quite honest with you. Yes, people yeah, for sure. Yeah. Overuse the word trauma, overuse the word gaslighting. Oh my god. Um, just like just therapy words. And like you guys are talking, we're interacting and things like that. So um it's creating, of course, like a close relationship. However, none of us are selling you anything. Um, we've tried to create a Patreon. Might have to try to go back and do that. Of course, it's not like, oh, you can only comment if you have a Patreon, or like, like we have even like gotten into the nitty gritty of that. And I know these guys, and that would not be the case. My God. But it wouldn't be like, yeah, like we wouldn't try to. It's like only I can teach you how to get a Bugatti for the low price of right? Yeah, yeah. And a lot of people get swept up into this, and it's understandable. Like you could be like in a hard place in your life, and there's a person who is talking and interacting with you, and unfortunately, they could be taking advantage of you, and you might give your phone number to the wrong person, the wrong account. You know, you might give your credit card information to the wrong person, the wrong account, and you're just like, you know, next thing you know, you're trying to like call your credit card company. It's like, yo, don't. It's like they're trying to dispute a charge, sort of thing. um, but yeah, and That's very scary. Like there is I remember there was a report on the news about like this guy, this old man, must have been like in his 80s or 90s, something like old dude. He kept donating to the Trump campaign because of all the text messages saying like Donald Trump needs you, or it's like I need you, and it's like a picture of Donald Trump. It's like, oh, you know, Kamala is blah blah blah. You got to donate money, and like he the old dad thought like this was true, and that like he kept donating money. He ended up donating like $3,000, and the dad was just like not fully there, so he was like, his mind was slipping. So I could see how that could be insanely problematic. Like I can't even fathom how that must be, because you're actually thinking that this is Donald Trump. I mean, our like corporate companies all the time say like, "Oh, be careful of phishing emails," and then like people who are younger than us fall for these phishing emails, thinking that the CEO themselves want you to purchase this gift card, because the CEO's daughter needs Apple iTunes gift cards. Needs to be paid in Apple iTunes gift cards or something, and then they end up believing it and then doing that. Is it you have to know better? Yeah, but if you're going senile, or like you're going, I could see that. But at the same time, yeah, he should just either set up a monthly donation so you don't have to deal with it, or but then again, they still text you regardless. It is so annoying. It's so annoying. But yeah, I do want to leave off on this because about the parasocial relationships. I remember seeing how Mr. Beast is, or I don't know, like was, or I don't know. I think they used Mr. Beast as an example. I'm not sure about how AI can be used to help redo a lot of his videos where he's speaking Spanish. So like the lip movements will match, and using AI to replicate his voice, but speaking Spanish or speaking German or speaking French, whatever language. And he could just create these videos quickly using AI rather than having somebody dub over it, and things like that. But with thing with that kind of technology, he can essentially use like Cameo as instead of him actually saying, happy birthday, Jordan." It would just be an AI video of him saying, "Happy birthday, Jordan." He could just easily do something like that. But he can also just create an app where it seems like he himself is talking to, little Jordan and little Bobby and little Alex and little Sam and little, where it's like having like this relationship, because it's like, oh, this is really Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast is my best friend. Mr. Beast is, talking to me, giving me advice on things, when that's not the case. It's AI completely. But they can really easily start believing it. And then when they see Mr. Beast in real life, it's going to be kind of like Santa Claus, where the little kid's probably just going to go up to him, acting like Mr. Beast knows everything that this little boy has spoken to him about, when that's like not the case. Hypothetically, of course. Or allegedly. I don't know. I'm just speculating, but that can very easily happen if it's not already happening already. So that's just something to, you know, keep into consideration. So a lot of like these like YouTube influencers for children can be quite, can easily possibly do something like that in terms of AI. And that could just be, very problematic for kids and families. That's funny, Toby. And yeah, that's what they do because you can't be losing on your own platform when like you should be losing on your own platform. Like we have all been wrong live on a live stream, and that's fine. We live and we learn. Yeah, like look at us, we're still friends.
So YouTube is a little bit strange with how these StreamYard sometimes and these YouTube links. So I'm trying to post these, not spam, promise. There we go. No, I like that point though. It's like there are times where we would say something and then afterwards it's like, oh, I just went on a whole tangent or a whole thing, and turns out I was off. I think there's one time where you had been talking about something, but you may have been slightly off in the interpretation of what you were responding to, and you even kind of like posted like, "Dang, like ignore that entire like thing," and it's like, Adam was like, "Yo, it's cool. This is what we do here. We talk, we learn new information," and it turns out we sometimes adjust. I mean, I know that was not exactly related to what you're saying about the AI stuff, but I think that's a good thing in general to keep in mind, or like I don't remember what I was saying about it. Something about AI and I guess how people can. I mean, this is a little different, but cloning voices. It's just crazy, like what's out there and what kids can be susceptible to. Now, some things I've heard kids can be even better at, sort of the smell test, where they're more likely to call BS on something, maybe because they're just suspicious of everything. Like sus, that's the term. Someone was saying how like they're like millennial mom or something, and their kids, either they're little kids or maybe they were a teacher and they would see kids, and it seemed that they were proud of the kids who seemed to at least not fall for misinformation as much, because they would say this thing looks like it's AI, like everything seems sus, maybe to like an overboard extent to being suspicious, but having that suspicion versus maybe some other people. I'm not going to try to generalize too much, but certain generations that might watch too much cable news and possibly will think everything they see on TV is real, particularly if it's like political, whether it's CNN or Fox or whatever. And it's like, yeah, you got to be a little careful there. So kids, they have a fire hose of information to deal with, but I think they also, in some ways, they're like Bane. They're like born in it, like Batman might have adapted the darkness, but Bane was born in it. So kids, in some ways, well, they can be jaded by some things. I think maybe they're likely to also be able to sniff out the BS. I mean, everyone's different, but hopefully they can all learn from each other and sort of know what's real, what's not, and just tread carefully with AI. But anyway, that's my last piece.
Yeah. I'm really, well, hold on. Going back to the topic at hand and understanding ourselves is really that bad for us. They're not necessarily bad for us. It's just the way how it's been marketed and the way how it almost feels as though you can't necessarily live life without it. That's when it does make it bad. And so there are certain things you could do to help alleviate a lot of the negativity that surrounds it, but also do keep in mind that you got to be very conscious and cautious of what you do with your cell phone. You know, I know a lot of times there's been apps that I've had on my phone, I got rid of it. Like, I can't see myself wasting another 4 hours watching videos that's not necessarily helpful or beneficial to me, but it did just waste a lot of time. So I'm like, yeah, I can't do that anymore. Um, I know I've deleted one of my Twitter accounts because Twitter is becoming a dumpster fire to me. I gotta get rid of it. And so working on deleting the other two to the point where I don't have a Twitter anymore. It is what it is. And even then, like I'm actually considering getting rid of Facebook. Even though I have a Facebook, I don't necessarily utilize Facebook the way how it's supposed to be. But yeah, Polar Nights, I hear you. we need phones. It's the best way the state can keep a track on everybody. I mean, sure, yeah, but I even considered buying the old the Nextel i730s or the Nextel i860s just because.
I didn't even catch that.
I can do that.
Sweet
Candy cane.
Call it my Where's Waldo shirt though.
Right. Right. And even then, like just getting those old walkie-talkie phones, because in my opinion, I think those were the best things we could have. And arguably, I still believe those phones would last up until now. It's just because of the times and because of everybody wants to be the first to have the next best thing. It was short lived, but it was probably one of the better things that came out of the cell phone revolution that actually would have stuck. Oh, we're good. We're good, Polar Knight. How about yourself? How you doing? We're good. So all in all, cell phones, they're not necessarily bad for us. However, how you utilize your cell phone, yeah, it could be pretty bad.
Yeah.
Honestly, it could be pretty bad. You just got to be very conscious and cautious of what you do with it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And then to put Polar Knight's first comment, I would just say the state will keep track of us. However, I guess phones don't make it any harder. But if you interact with the system, they'll get us. I think it's like one of those things where people will mention like one thing being an avenue for us to get spied on. It's like everything's gonna spy on us, possibly. I mean, phones are kind of an extremely data rich, outlet where if you have one, then yeah, people can probably track what you're doing. With some, look, people can build some fancy tools, but I think what you're saying is in jest, but it is one of those things where the government will do what they do regardless. But I mean, that privacy concern is, we talk a lot about more as the like attention span and like, are you able to focus, do well? Is it ruining your brain? Propaganda, but I think the privacy standpoint is an important angle as well. Do you want to be tracked? Do you want to be able to not be tracked? You have your safety. Not being stalked and other stuff. But I guess we just accept all of that. The convenience that the phones bring. Yeah. Wow. It's all good conversation, though. It's all good. Things to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. I didn't know about the Norwegians
All right.
then.
Oh yeah, no, Trump getting everybody to the boot.
Yeah, I didn't know that
Trump
either.
getting everybody. To the boot.
Norwegians included in Trump's deportation plan. 39 Norwegians now subject to forcible. 120 people from Sweden, 22 from Finland, 45 from Denmark. Wow.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's sad, unfortunately.
Me too.
But just like how the bad news has continuously showed its ugly head in news media and news outlets all over, this is probably the one sad news you probably did want to hear. But we gotta go. It's 11/18. Whoa, birthday. Anyways.
Oh. Yeah, there's about to be a strong trade block. Conversation for another time, but countries are about to band in the trade block in a way that we've never seen happen in who knows how long.
Yeah.
So it's like
right.
almost like not the same, but like with Russia invading Ukraine, it made NATO stronger. And it's like, I don't think that's what you wanted to do, but now your action is causing the thing you don't want. And so Trump with the trade war or even the immigration policy, you're going to have a lot of countries get stronger, banding together against us, whether it's economically, well, mostly economically, but there's different levels to that in terms of the dollar and trying to find other currencies or I don't know, doing other things that will sort of lessen the reliance on us. Which I mean, more power to them, honestly.
And so with that, we gotta go. We got work in the morning, and it's getting late, especially on the East Coast. For those on the West Coast, it's still relatively early. The night is still young. It's probably getting close to that time where it's like, yep, should be in the bed, sleep, getting some rest, but hey, I got work in the next 3-4 hours, so I'm gonna stay up. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all this good stuff. You guys have been great, been amazing, awesome, and wonderful and lovely. Continue to be who pause, stop, rewind, stop, play. Continue to be the best version of yourself possible. Continue to be the best version of yourself possible. And if you find out that you're not being the best version of yourself possible, it's okay. Go back to the drawing board and try it again. And it's fine. It's okay. Understand that you're loved, you're cherished, your opinions matter, your voices matter, and we man, listen, Rocky. Somebody got to work hard in that school building. Somebody got to. Somebody got to. As long as I can make it, if I can make it through Wednesday and Thursday, I got a 4-day weekend. I'm good. I'm good. Best believe I'm good. However, I will take your advice too as well. I'll take care of myself because I got to. So, with that being said, we are going to call it a stream. Again, we thank you guys oh so much for tuning in. Thank you. You could have been doing 1,000 other things, but you chose to spend this Tuesday night with us. So we appreciate you, or Wednesday morning. Again, we appreciate you, all the alerts, all the goodness. We love you guys. We will see you in 2 weeks with another stream, another topic, and who knows? We may bring a guest or two. You never know. You never know. So yeah, Rocky again. Not even gonna argue with you because you're right. You're right. You are absolutely correct, sir. So with that being said, to Rocky's point, good night. You guys get some. You guys get some rest. 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 Please get some rest. And we will see you guys in 2 weeks. Bye.